right now, but we have a formal program to get through, and we want to make sure that you all can get out and enjoy, hopefully, some nice weather this afternoon. So, welcome, friends, neighbors, partners, community champions. Welcome to the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition's 37th annual meeting. For those of you who know, there's a little bit of freeze on that. Threw me off. For those who don't know me, my name is Ben Land, and I have the pleasure of serving as the president of the nbCC board. We hope that you noticed on your tables that there is a shiny new annual report, fresh off the presses, and you may have also noticed that there are some donation envelopes kicking around on the tables. We are incredibly grateful for the generosity that all of you, in some way, shape, or form, have contributed to this organization over the past year. We look forward to seeing what that looks like going ahead this year, and we just thought we'd get a head start, put it right in front of you at the end of the meeting. But why are we here today? Each year we gather, we love taking time to enjoy a great lunch, recognize some amazing community members, and celebrate the incredible things going on in the Northern Berkshire area. It's a moment to convene, connect, and confirm that this place is really a fantastic place to live for your life. As we have collectively made our way, our slow, steady emergence through a global pandemic, which has reshaped and redefined so much of what it means to be a real community. It is really moments like this, looking out on all of you and the communities you compose, build, and support, that I am feeling particularly honored to stand before you as we kick off our time together this morning / this afternoon. But before we get into all the goodness, I would be remiss not to mention all of the hands behind the scenes of the coalition that get the work done. From the top to the boots on the street, even though the top many times gets their boots on the street as well. So I'd like to just take a moment to introduce my fellow board members. So just as I say your name, if you could stand, and if folks can hold your applause, snaps, and hollers until we get to everyone's name, and we'll give them a great show of gratitude. Jennifer Meehan, Vice President. Maureen Barron, Clerk. Dr. Barbara Malkus, Treasurer. Steve Green. Craig Barr. Spencer Moser. Anna Flynn. Marissa Parker. Michael Murphy. Sarah Lumia. Preston Kelly. And Teresa Dinette. Now, I've served on many boards and committees over my time, and I will say this is one of the most dedicated group of community members, representatives, and supporters that you have. And just so thank you all for your commitment. I'd also like to extend a heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you for your hard work and dedication in supporting the mission of nbCC and the work of our staff and our community. While recognizing those who work diligently to support the organizations through their leadership, nbCC would also like to take the opportunity to remember an individual who had a significant impact on our organization and our region. With that, I would like to invite someone who needs some introduction, Al Bashapkian, to the podium to honor the late Congressman John Oliver. Al.
I used to do a lot of this. Then I retired, and Amber's doing a great job. So congratulations to all of you for maintaining the spirit of the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition. And thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and for your desire to honor John Olfer. Looking at the past will offer us some lessons. As the present marches on, remembering how we ever got here is as important as ever. As we honor John, let's not forget about others who worked with the coalition in its beginning days. And 4 people come to mind, and I'm sure there's a lot more people. And these people are sadly no longer with us. Al Nelson, our treasurer and forever, a huge advocate for the community and the coalition. Eileen Lincourt, who founded our programs, bringing parents and schools together. Joe Manning, who despite not being from the region, made it his home, wrote about it, and loved everything that the coalition did. And Terry Lewison, she was the spark plug. She said what she believed. She was the force behind our creating services for the homeless in northern Berkshire, aptly named Lewison House, and the homeless programs of the Family Life Support Center. John Over believed in the coalition and what it offered the community, and what it offered him as an elected official. In 2006, he said, throughout the past 20 years, we were around for 20 years in 2006. The nbCC has evolved as our community has evolved to become a national model of what we can accomplish as we come together to support our neighbors. nbCC is an invaluable resource for our community, and I look forward to continuing our years of productive work together for many years into the future. Every year, the congressman would come to our monthly gathering, sit with us as one of us, as we explored various community issues. Congressman Over, after hearing about our need for a stronger public transportation network, connected the coalition with a local planning body, the Berkshire County Regional Planning, for a study of possible models, connected us with a national organization, Community Transportation Association of America, for ideas about organizing and supervising our transportation network, and found funding in Congress for Berkshire Rides, our local transportation network. Eventually, Congress shut off all their earmarks, so that money went away. Senator Downey stepped up, found state funding for TNB, and sadly that funding went away as well. But Berkshire Rides and TNB provided transportation for local residents to get to work for over a decade. And during some difficult economic times, that was really important. Many Northern Berkshire programs had Congressman Over's engagement, and these were in the areas of healthcare, neighborhood engagement. I remember the congressman showing up at one of our neighborhood cleanups and helping us pick up trash, just like the rest of us. Mental health and others. When the congressman attended a forum, many in attendance had remarks or questions for him. And as I said before, he attended as a congressman representing our district, but more importantly, he was one of us. My most vivid memory of Congressman Oliver was during his attendance at the April 2003 Coalition Forum. I wonder how many people were here or there. A few. It was the eve of the Iraq War, and the congressman well knew what was about to occur. We were headed to invade Iraq. The congressman got pretty emotional about what this meant for the country and for those who would be fighting the war. Whether you agree with him or not about this war, one had to step back and appreciate his candor and humility as our country was about to invade Iraq. His heart was in what he had to say, and that made his job, especially during our invasion of Iraq, really hard. A tall man with huge feet. The congressman loved his family, his wife Rose, and his kids. He loved the outdoors. He was an avid climber. He was a model for all of us about balancing work and the outdoors, work and life. He loved his job as our congressman. And he remembered everyone by name. I don't know how he did that, but he did that. He's missed by us all, and his legacy is strengthened by your willingness at the coalition to remember him. Thank you.
Thank you, Al, for your heartfelt words and continued support of the coalition yourself as well. We really appreciate everything you've done over the many years of service. I would like to now take an opportunity to invite our Executive Director, nbCC, to the podium to introduce our coalition team and kick off our event.
I'm just curious, before you step down, though, anything you want to say? Anything big, important? Maybe?
Now that you've finished. There is one thing. As many of you know, in one way, shape, or form, for more than 12 years now, the Coalition has been actively searching, investigating, and planning to identify a forever home, an accessible and approachable place that the organization can expand into to grow our programs, meet the evolving and dynamic needs of the community, collaborate with core partner agencies, and foster deepened empowerment of the individuals, organizations, and efforts we have here. I don't want to miss any of my words here. In mid-2022, the board voted to appoint an ad hoc building committee to that end, including both board members and broader community members, charged with the specific task of investigating the viability of the purchase and redevelopment of the building in the city of Port Apples. Before I actually move on, I would like to just take a moment to recognize the members of the nbCC Building Committee. So if any of you are here, if you can just stand to be recognized. I know I can see some of your faces, so I know you're here. Come on, come on. There we go. They are immensely humble on top of being very hard and committed workers. For 6 months, this group met, researched, and collected data, surveyed staff and board members, and engaged partner agencies to come up with a recommendation to the board to move forward or not. The building, breaking news here, is actually a former car hardware building located at 192 State Street, North Adams. Originally the home of the S.V. Dibble Lumber Company in the 1850s, this is the last vestige of what was a massive business that quite literally provided the materials that the Northern Berkshires are built from. After doing their due diligence, the building committee presented the board a recommendation, and I am excited to announce that by unanimous vote of the full coalition board, and with initial capital support from the Commonwealth, thanks to our regional delegation, we have voted to move forward with a purchase and sale agreement to launch this multi-year process of building acquisition, a first ever nbCC capital campaign, and the eventual design and redevelopment of this historic building that helped build the physical infrastructure of our community into an accessible, permanent hub for the coalition so that we can continue to build our community infrastructure for generations to come. And now, I would like to hand it back to Ray.
This is super exciting, and so we're really glad that we get to share this with you guys today. As someone who's been at the coalition now for about 12 years, I remember this conversation when I started, and I'm really grateful to be here to see something new. So thank you to the building committee and the board for all that you did. All right, so Ben, a thank you to you for your leadership and for being a part of this. I'm super happy that with the building project on the horizon, that Ben and Jen have both agreed to stay on and extend their terms in our leadership, allowing us to keep consistency and continuity during all of this work, which is going to be so much work. But there's certainly more for us to tell you in the future, and if you know Ben, you know his enthusiasm and energy is absolutely contagious, and so it's just what we need for this adventure. So I'm looking forward to it, so thank you again to everyone. Before we move forward, I do want to just acknowledge our distinguished guests here today. Senator Paul Mark is here, he's our keynote for today. State Representative John Barrett joined us today, as well as Mayor Maxey, so thank you all for spending your time with us today. And before we move on, I do also want to just recognize and share some gratitude for other folks that were integral in today. Greylock Federal Credit Union was one of our sponsors, so thank you to Greylock. Greylock Works for this beautiful space that we get to hang out in. MJ's Taste of Home for the lunch spread. Did everybody like the lunch? Also, the cookies that she made for us, they were awesome. Mount Williams is the one who gives us our flowers every year and donates to make the space a little bit brighter with some beautiful flowers. Beck's Printing does all the printing for us, and thankfully when I turn it in the last minute, they say yes and get it here on time. And then lastly, if you look in front of you, the Steeplecast organization donated one ticket for every person who came today. So please take an opportunity to go out and enjoy a baseball game this summer. It's a lot of fun and it's a real treasure to have it in our community. So please enjoy. So thank you to all of these businesses and supporters to be flexible and something that we worked really hard and we just want to extend our appreciation. So, beyond everyone in the room that we get to collaborate with, some of my strongest partners in this work are the incredible individuals that I get to work alongside every day. Ben mentioned earlier that emerging from the pandemic, our communities were reshaped and redefined, and nbCC was no stranger to this process. We were redefined and reshaped by the pandemic and the resulting social changes that happened. Please do not hear this as a negative, though. In fact, I think it's to our benefit that we use these moments to reshape and change, to move to a stronger organization. I don't think I really need to even state that there were challenges, but I do need to state that having a strong foundation built by Al and so many people, our organization's identity was solid, and this is the thing that catapulted us forward through these changes. And the dedication of the individuals who work with us also helps. Okay, so enough said about that. I'm going to introduce our team. So if folks on our team can stand when I call you, and if folks can hold their applause, that would be awesome. Lindsay White, our Youth Prevention Coordinator. Carissa Satursky, our Youth Support Worker. Tim Schiebler, Coordinator of Youth Development. Jesse Byrne, our Health and Wellness Coordinator. Gabby Glazer, our Community Connections Coordinator. Okay, so if you notice on your tables, there's lots and lots of fun facts on all of those boards. I get to share a fun fact about Gabby. So when I started at the Coalition, Gabby was a student at Hoosick Valley High School and a member of our youth programming. So I got to, actually, if people were here a few years back, I read one of her poems at our annual meeting. It still sits on my desk. But I have been privileged to meet her and watch her grow into the woman that she is, and I am super grateful that we brought a student through our community, and now we have the pleasure of employing her and having her do the work that she started as a student in the community as an employee. So it's a fun fact about Gabby. There's lots of fun facts, but not everybody wanted to share theirs. Nancy Kennedy, our Family Resource Center Program Manager. Jennifer Parker, Family Support Worker. Kat Record, our other Family Support Worker. Andrew Rosenberg, our School Liaison. Donna Senecal, our Family Partner, who works for the Green Center and is 100% a part of our team every day. Susie Helm, our Communications Coordinator. Bonnie Clement, our Program Administrative Specialist. And then last and never least, our business manager, Liz Boland. I am truly grateful for all the long days of hard work and dedication that you give for the betterment of the communities that we serve and for the people who live here. What you do does make a difference, even in the smallest ways. So to move North Berkshire forward and create a place for all of us to thrive and belong. So, before we move on to our presentation of our Northern Berkshire Hero Award, I would like to take a moment and acknowledge the decorations in the room, which I think many of you have already found. Over the past year, nbCC had a wonderful intern from North Atlas. Arden was an absolute gift to our office, sorting through decades of coalition photos, which are all over there. When she completed this, we were able to digitally archive all of these photos, which was no small feat, and then left us with, what do we do with 20 plus years of photos? So it didn't take long for us to think about wanting to share them back with the the community because these aren't just our memories, they're yours too. So please make sure you take time, look through the photos, find a picture of you when you were 16, 12, or 40, whichever it is. And please feel free to take some to share with people who maybe weren't here today. These are memories that we'd love to see carry on. I also want to invite folks to explore another set of tables. So George and Nancy, thank you so much for bringing all of your memorabilia to share with us from the years of La Festa and all of the dedicating things that you have done. So they have 2 tables over there with tons of pictures and awards. Please take time to see all that they have accomplished, all memories today. So that's also what helped us shape our theme, What's Your Story? So let's talk about stories, and we're going to talk about George and Nancy. Each year, the staff and board of nbCC choose an individual or a group from the community to receive our award this award at our annual meeting. The recipient of this award is chosen based on the efforts of this person or persons to make our region a better place, truly making a difference in the lives of people who live, work, and play here. This year, as we began thinking about who would be candidates, there was a moment where the names of George and Nancy Canales were mentioned. Admittedly, I didn't know them well, but I definitely knew who they were. As a hockey parent with Jason and Jill Canales, I have often seen George and Nancy at the rink celebrating their grandson, Braden. We do a lot of cheering for Braden. Braden waves so everybody can see him. That's right. He's a solid hockey player, folks. I can imagine that I'm not alone in seeing them attend sports games, celebration, and community events in the region, especially the Seafood Cats. While I've not had the privilege of personally spending lots of time with them, I can tell you that I have benefited from their generosity and dedication to building a strong family with a community-centered mindset. Their children and grandchildren's community service, kindness, and generosity has impacted our community in so many ways, including lots that has helped my family as I grew here and started living here. So to make sure that the presentation of this award was meaningful, I actually asked their family to write what I would say. So here goes. George and Nancy Canales both called North Berkshire their home. Nancy was born in North Adams, and George moved to Williamstown as a teenager from Somerville, Mass. Their love and commitment to the local community started early, with George coaching Little League Baseball and Nancy as a part of the PTA for the former Johnson School. Their commitment to the Northern Berkshire grew, with George serving as a member of the parish council from the former St. Anthony's Church, and both working as board members for the former La Festa Festival that started at St. Anthony's and then later moved to the Knollfield Complex. George's love for the game of baseball continued over this time as he coached Little League, then Babe Ruth, and then went on to McCann Tech, where he served as the head varsity coach from 1998 to 2012. George's commitment to McCann goes past coaching. All 3 of his sons graduated from the school. He understands the impact of education that McCann has on young individuals, and for the last 24 years has served on the school committee. Additionally, George has served as a member of the North Adams Park and Recreation Committee for the last 8 years. When Nancy retired from working for the city of North Adams, she committed herself back to the local community where she served as a member of the North Adams Historical Society for the last 4 years, and for the last 6 years on the North Adams Council for Aging Board. If you ask them to single out one thing that they have done to impact the North Berkshire community, they would most likely say the La Festa Baseball Exchange. For the last 32 years, this exchange has linked North Adams, the Commonwealth's smallest city, with Boston, our largest, by using George's favorite game of baseball. This exchange gives kids the chance to see the different lives we live on each end of the state. Their commitment has let the exchange become one of the longest running of its type on the East Coast. With over 1,000 participants, the exchange has provided memories for young baseball players that they still talk about today. Their love of this has been passed on to their kids and grandkids who can be seen helping with the exchange, doing everything from fundraising to lugging water to the dugouts. Yet the thing they would most likely tell you that they are most proud of is that they have passed on their commitment to the local community to their family. All 3 children can call North Berkshire their home, and each has coached, served on members of area boards, and served on local committees. George and Nancy serve as an example of how committing oneself to help others is a small gesture that has a lasting impact on the lives of those around you. So George and Nancy, along with your family, please come up and join me in your recognition and our thanks for your dedication and positive impact on our community. One last thank you to George and Nancy and your family for being here. So as we move forward with our theme of What's Your Story, it simply made sense for us to invite someone whose story has not only shaped their life, but through the years has come to help shape this very region. It was a no-brainer to ask Senator Paul Mark to join us today and share his story. It's possible that some of us in the room have heard his story or portions of it in the past, as he's been very open about sharing his life and the experiences that shaped him to who he is and his dedication to public service. I'm hoping today, as we listen again, or for the first time, Senator Mark's story reminds us of the importance of helpers, connections, generosity, service, and hope. So, Senator.
Thank you. Very, very nice to hear that people actually like your first word. And congratulations for your good work and for that award. Thank you for all the this community. And thank you, Representative Barrett, for being here, and Mayor Maxey, and other elected officials in the chamber here. And thank you to Casey taking a photo of me, and Kathy, our staff, which is the backbone of how we get all our work done. And just so people know, we do hours twice a month in North Adams and Adams, so that we're trying to make sure we're as accessible as possible to people in the entire region. So for people that don't know, I'm Paul Mark. I'm the state senator for what is now the Berkshire, Hamden, Franklin, and Hampshire Senate District. That is 57 cities and towns in Berkshire, Hamden, Franklin, and Hampshire counties. And in alphabetical order, they are Adams, Alton, Hampshire. Thank you. People usually start And before I was in the Senate, I had the great honor of representing this region, parts of Franklin County and parts of Hampshire County as well, in the State House of Representatives for 12 years. And going from the House to the Senate, I'd like to mention, first of all, our district, we haven't sent a member of the House to the Senate before this January since 1961. So thank you. I'm greatly honored to take that lead on your behalf. But also, you look at the House and you look at the Senate, and the House is thought it's more rough and tumble. The Senate's the upper chamber. So the Senate's more proper and stuff. I didn't know I was going to fit in. And then yesterday I was in the State House, and I get a text while I'm sitting in my office from another new senator from Worcester. And she writes this text, "Paul, you're missing the butts in the chamber." So I'm sitting at my desk and like, "You're handing out cigarettes? In the Senate chamber? Okay, weird. I don't smoke. I'll check this out, right?" And no, I was wrong. What was going on in the Senate chamber, in the public gallery, was 8 people were there protesting in favor of stopping climate change. And they were mooning the Senate. So the Senate's wild. And I fit right in. So, very interesting place to work. And again, great to be there on your behalf. I appreciate it. And that's a true story. You might read it in the paper. But I think Amber I'm just a regular kid like anyone else, pretty average, upper, lower, middle class family. And then one day, when I'm about 12 years old, me, my mother, and my sister were sitting on the couch, watching evening news. Back when we had an evening news, and we gathered around and sat and watched such things. My father's at his job, and there's no cell phones, there's no email, there's no texting, there's none of that. And on the news, there comes an announcement that the warehouse where my father works is shutting down. Out of business, they're moving out of town, no regard for the community, no regard for the workers. They'll be gone in 6 months, he's going to be out of a job. When he gets home, he can tell we've already seen this, because we're already upset. And he was upset. And there was a lot of worry. My father was in his 40s, a little older than me now, and had worked at a warehouse at a pretty good job for over 20 years. But when you've been working in a warehouse, basically since your early 20s, you don't have a lot of skills that transfer. And so once that job, he did officially lose it, it turned out we were right to work, because what we thought was going to happen happened and worse. We went through times where we had no money. We went through times where we were evicted from our house. Our house was foreclosed upon. We had to move around. We went to 4 different elementary schools, 2 junior high schools. We moved a lot. There were times we needed food stamps. There were times we needed welfare. There were times we needed assistance. There was times where water heater broke, and if you wanted to take a hot shower, you could. You boiled some water on the stove, and you splashed some water in your face. Why I had a beard since I was 15 years old, because it's very troubling. And when you're a teenager going through this, it's embarrassing, it's hard. You don't want to talk about it. They gave out free lunch in school. You had to use a special card. None of us that had the special card got a free lunch, because we didn't want people to know we were poor. It was a stigma. And this kind of culminated for me when, out of high school, I went to UMass for a year. I was there. I was doing fine academically. But at the end of the year, I realized I had to drop out. Because I didn't have any money. I didn't have money to pay tuition. I couldn't afford, I didn't want to take on the student loan debt that I was going to pay for the rest of my life. I couldn't afford to do any of the things that you want to do when you're 19 years old. Drive around, go out with people, anything fun like that. And so, as a 19-year-old, dropping out of college, I thought my future was pretty bleak. And I thought that was going to be pretty much the end of the road. I was lucky I'd get a job, maybe I could hold on to with my father for a while. And we'd see. And then everything changed for me. There was a barrier in my way, and the barrier broke through because I got a job working at the old phone company. It was the old phone company. I was an actual lineman. I went out and running wires and climbing up telephone poles. And when you had landline phones, I'd come into your house and I fixed them, and I fixed payphones. And whether you know this or not, that was an amazing job. It was a union job, and because of the union and the union benefits, we got paid. We had sick time. We had health care paid for by our employer. We had a pension. We had enough money that I could buy a house in the town of Hancock when I was 23 years old. And they had a tuition loan. And because of this benefit that my coworkers had fought for, I could go back to school. And in the 10.5 years that I worked at the phone company as a lineman, I went back and I did an associate's degree, and I did a bachelor's degree, and I did a master's degree, and I did a law degree, and I did a doctoral degree. And I always like to mention it because what's the difference between 19 years old, Hallmark, looking at a pretty bleak future, and 31-year-old Hallmark ready to run for state rep? Opportunity. The barrier was broken down for me. I obviously had the talent and the passion and the drive and the desire, but I didn't have the money to do anything. And that was holding me back. And so when Amber asked me to come and talk today, I like to tell this story, and I appreciate that people do enjoy hearing it, even though it is an emotional to talk about. Because my story is a lot like the story of the Berkshires, and especially like the story of the North Berkshires. That we didn't give up. We get kicked down. We get knocked around, but we never stop. And we keep moving, and we keep moving forward, and we keep trying. And then at a moment, that opportunity finally comes. And this is true in life, it's true in the legislature, being prepared for the opportunity when it comes around. And so I think North Adams, I think Northern Berkshire, I think the whole county and all of Western Massachusetts, that we're ready. We're ready for opportunity. We've been waiting for it. And we've been starting to make it happen on our own. And we keep looking backwards, and I think that's ended. And now we're looking forward to what's possible. So in the legislature, we're happy to work together as a team, as a small delegation, always fighting against it. We're so outnumbered in Boston. But we try to make sure that this area has resources, that this area has access to the same benefits and opportunities that the people in the rest of the state have to take for granted. And so I'm really happy that on my first set of budget, and again, this is working together with our House delegation, we're to double the amount of money that goes through for the opioid task force funding. So 25,000, now 50,000 of that comes to this coalition specifically, because sometimes the barrier for people can be addiction, or can be lack of information about how to get out of addiction, or how to help friends and family get through that. And every time I'm in the State House, and every time I'm in the district, we try to think of areas where there are stigmas and where there are embarrassments, and try to break those through. Sometimes the barrier isn't even the behavior or the obstacle you think is in front of you. Sometimes it's the stigma or the embarrassment of that obstacle. And if you knew a little bit more, you knew people were going to help you, people would be willing to reach out. So a coalition like this does that work. Tries to get rid of the stigma, tries to make sure there's education and information out there, and tries to build partnerships that allow as many people as possible in this region to get the services they need, to get the opportunities that they need, and to become successful. That's why I love what you've been doing for the last, how many years was it? 20-something years. 32. 32 years. Breaking down barriers, building partnerships. That's what it's all about. The last thing I want to say, because Al mentioned Congressman Olver, and my favorite John Olver line is literally, he's at an event on that, and he gets up and he says, "I'm going to be brief today. I'm only going to go about 45 minutes. And everyone laughs, and then he went only 45 minutes. But I also want to mention a good friend of a lot of us in the room. June 17th, 2017, and in this building specifically, I think about it, our former state representative, Dale Caribbean, passed, we lost her. And me and her ran for rep at the same time, and we became close friends. And that's what's wild, again, about the legislature, is you can become like almost best friends when you're like 31 years old, going into 60, because you have this partnership, this camaraderie that builds through common experience. And the last time I saw Gail, I remember when she was first, backtrack a second, she had been working in this building, getting it ready to sell it, and she fell through this hole in the floor, and was badly injured. And I don't think she was sick a day in her life until that happened. And then you fast forward a year later, and me, her, and Smitty are on our way to a meeting with Governor Baker, and for whatever reason, Smitty says, "Hey, you guys want to go to lunch instead?" We blew off the governor. And we went to lunch. But I will never be more thankful for being a screw-off in my life, because I never saw Gail again. So we had lunch, and we had laughs, and I don't think any of us, including her, knew how sick she was. And so just wanted people to make sure we remember her. She did a lot for our area, she did a lot for our community. 6 years flies by in a flash. And so if you ever had interaction with Gail, or anyone ever benefited, I know she worked on Berkshire Rides, I know she did so much stuff. Please remember her, please. So, all right, we're going to end up on a note. Thank you so much for having me, and have a really great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mark. And actually, I love the note that you ended on, because it is part of our story. As you look through those photos, you will see Gail everywhere, which was, again, someone who was spending lots of time with us. So, we are going to jump into a little activity, because that's what we like to do. You know, you had lunch, we did talking, so now we want to have a little fun. So, we want to ask you to help us with our theme, What's Your Story? So we wanted to give you all an opportunity to share part of your story with not only us, but our larger community. During the last couple of years, our world has wrestled with lots of new and different, and sometimes old concepts, made new again, those being diversity and inclusion. We become even more aware of all the ways in which we're a diverse community. Sometimes the perceptions of our differences have created division and not the inclusion that we all long for. And there's been a universal element in our culture that's helped bring us together, and that's storytelling. All cultures have a component of storytelling to share their history, their beliefs, and create a generational connectivity that holds groups together. Storytelling is an art form, something that when done can not only connect us to those who are like us, but also bridge us to those who are different. In storytelling, we can find our shared experiences, our shared knowledge, as well as our shared desire for something better for our world. So, what does this all mean today? We want to hear your story. Some of our team members have handed out to each of the table a bunch of cards, and we're asking everyone to take one of those cards. Each card has one of two writing prompts on it, and we're going to ask you to share part of your story with us. We'll give you a few minutes to write and think, and then once we're all done, our team will come around and gather up the cards. Our goal over the next year is to use these cards to share the stories of our community with our community. So if you're willing, please write your name on your card so we can attribute your story to you. If you're not inclined to be publicly recognized, that's okay, but we still want to share your story, so you can just write anonymous. Our hope is to use these stories as a way to celebrate and bring together all the unique and wonderful people who live here. So, does everybody have a card? Yes? Thumbs up. Give me thumbs up. You're all still awake, right? There we go. All right, so take a moment, think about it, write something down, and then when you're finished, if you just hold your card up, our staff will come get it from you. Shameless plug, if you have like our Facebook page, you can do that. I know it's a little old school for some people, but Facebook page, or if you want our newsletter, see Susie. Wait, Susie, she'll hook you up. And our newsletter's fine, in case you're good enough to go with that. I'm a college student, so. Alright, so now we've come to the part of our event that I spent absolutely the most time on, and that's the final thoughts for the day. This is a privilege that comes with the position of executive director and one that I'm honored with each year. So this year, to start, I thought about our theme, what's your story? And then I started to think about how many people in this room are or have been part of the nbCC story. And I do love a good visual, so you're going to get to participate. So I'm going to ask you, if you're able to, I'm going to ask some questions, and if it means you, please stand. So, if you have volunteered at or with nbCC, please stand. If you have ever worked at nbCC, stay standing, I promise. It's a good visual. educational program, or support group offered by nbCC. If you are on or have been on our board of directors, if you have ever or still do attend our community forums, if you have taken the community outreach volunteer training, if you, possibly near youth, have ever been a part of a youth program at nbCC. Okay, last but not least, even if this is your first time with us in any capacity, please stand. Each one of you represents a part of our story here in the community. Thank you for the role that you played in this impact that you had. You make our story worth telling. Okay, now you can sit down. So the best part of a story like ours is that it's never finished. There's always more to be written. Each year we move forward and each neighbor we meet creates new chapters and new characters that make our story colorful, more exciting, dynamic, and at times, a lot more dramatic. All things a good story needs. Our team knows that we don't write our own story. The story of nbCC and the communities we serve is a collective effort that takes time, some adversity, an experience of success, and most of all, it takes company. As our community forges ahead, there's an illustration that comes to mind. I don't know about you, but some of my favorite stories are picture books. So here goes. This illustration starts with a backdrop of a desert. It's a place that's hot, dry, and desolate. This place is brown, all shades of brown. Very little green other than some plants that grow there. The only blue is the wide open sky, cloudless and full of sun, beaming down on earth. The wind blows, but it's so hot and dry it takes away any moisture in the air. This is a place of striking sunsets and vast expanses. Some will come here and they'll find beauty. Others will come and find nothing. But within this setting, there exists a cactus, a plant that grows in the desert. It grows in the scorching sun and the minuscule rain and stands up to the harsh, dry winds that blow. But not only does this cactus grow, it thrives, blooming the most beautifully colored flowers to embellish and beautify the world in which it exists. There is a lesson in this illustration for us. Our stories of our lives, although at times may be hard or seem void of any good, can be places to share our resiliency with others. Our ability to not only survive, but to thrive in the harshest conditions. Our stories add beauty and color to our world, helping us to see the good in each other and in our surroundings. I encourage you all to continue to write your story. Be a part of ours. Share your story with others, and most importantly, listen to the stories around you. As Jimmy Neal Smith, an American author who founded the International Storytelling Center, which is a real thing, said, "We are all storytellers. We all live in a network of stories. There isn't a stronger connection between people than storytelling." Okay, so many thanks for all of you joining us here today. All of us at nbCC are always happy when we get to come and have lunch and spend time and talk. It's our favorite thing to do. We look forward to more opportunities to write our story with you, and we can't wait to see you again. Thank you.